Epic rap battles of studies. High art versus folk art. Begin.
So we're down in old Harlem trying to decide which of two styles shows more racial pride. My cohort and I will be your guide to high and folk art as the genres collide.
As you can see by the strokes, by the line, the heart that is high is simply sublime. The colors here play the most important role. As for the meaning, they accomplish the goal. The orange of the flower, the central color, shows the joy of the people where their lives are duller than the hues of the petals, yet their soul still intact. The pride of the people remains uncracked. Amidst the shadow, oppression, the struggle, to live and survive and rise out of the rubble. The past of our people, slavery and abuse, as the white man tortured us and tied the noose. As you can see, the bouquet stands alone. It shows how our culture is solitarily grown. Blossomed outward, hitting its stride, that is how high art shows African pride.
Fool, that's just a flower. It ain't got no black power. You need to cut the symbols and crap in your crap, cause your flower-loving self shouldn't be in this rap. Whereas high art is a bouquet so damn boring, folk art has the truth of the black people, their story. Like a timeline left to write the story unfolds, oppression to happiness shows their past and their goals. Starting with the onslaught of the Ku Klux Klan, and ending with a dancer and a trumpet man. And a central black figure stands above the lot, holding a light, a beacon, a flare for his flock. The African people rise from the roots of their kin, and from the toils of slavery, from the chains they were in. The figure stands tall, strong, proud for the people. He remembers the past, the good and the evil. But he sees in the distance a future, his hope, away from the white man, the chains and the rope. The yellow pervades from the light from the sky, representing their spirits, ever so high. This color of happiness radiates from his hand, and the blue, the sadness, cannot withstand. If anything were to show the pride of his race, it's a tale drawn from truth, with pain and with grace. Douglas remembers the past of his people, accepts it, knows his brothers were feeble. Is proud today that they stand taller and bolder, as a whole they are fundamentally older. And paints with a smile to the best of his knowledge the goods and the greats, and thus always acknowledges hardships of Africans and the future they've made. Within lies the pride which whites have forbade. Why don't you tell me how your art shows the struggle better than this man holding his shovel? As progress rises and the city stands taller, a black man watches, still wearing his color. The slaves, the working man, stand tall and proud, even in the city of the vicious white crowd. They built the city for the good of man, and like the ferns, Africa's mark is stamped. Across an ocean isolation from the opposite shore, the black man sees the plate, weak and sore. On his back to the American cities rise, while his girl still knees in her chains and cries. Yet even though he receives no credit when it is due, he is still visibly proud, he is stronger too. He remains separated in the world of his father. The ferns of his past still creeps, they still bother. But cross still rises, yet climbs from the bottom, bringing a wave of light, spring unto autumn. And above all else, the man stands a hero, whom everyone else might have considered a zero. Haughty he stands, facing away from the viewer, shovel over his shoulder, still awaiting his cure, but admiring his work that his hands had built, knowing that without it his city would wilt. And even though the shapes are abstract, folk art has captured their pride that Kaiser's lacks. Douglas is proud of his people, proud of their past, proud of their strength and their will to outlast. The weight on their shoulders, it's emotional taxation. They alone claim credit for building the nation. So if you say that a flower can show how people for years survived every blow, you need some help, brother, you're really behind. There just might be something wrong with your mind.
Who won? Who's next? You decide.